everybody, it's Brandon Scheid from Liquid Force Kites, and I'm here today to talk to you about a product that I'm extremely excited about, and that's the brand new Envy V9. Now the Envy has evolved, this being the 9th version of the Envy, from a kite that started out as a very kind of beginner-friendly kite built off a 3-strut platform, which at the time was something new for the industry. Now you can see tons of 3-strut platform kites on the market. So we're happy to say we kind of started a trend with the Envy that's carried all the way through the industry and into the Envy V9. So that's a 3-strut platform kite, something that works really well across all disciplines of kiteboarding, whether you're kite surfing, hydrofoiling, free riding, unhook trick styling, hitting the park, boosting, whatever you need to do, this kite does it extremely, extremely well. Now, for those of you that are asking like, oh man, I've flown the Envy before, you know, like what's the big deal with the Envy V9? Well, for this one, it's a complete overhaul, meaning we changed the geometry, the shape of the kite, as well as a little bit of the flying characteristics. And it really, overall, it had a big impact on how the kite feels. In years past, you know, it's always been a collaborative effort between the design team and Julian. And this year, I had a lot of input in the Envy. And I'm happy to say it's finally somewhere where I'm extremely stoked on it. It's taken me to my first 2 wins of the KPL season this year, as well as really helped up my level of riding. There's really nothing to hold me back anymore. And, you know, it's designed to help you shatter your limits. So the way that this kite was able to do so is because we created another kite called the P1, and that kite allowed us to kind of shift the Envy away from the kite for everybody, easy to use school kite, into more of a performance product. And that performance being, you know, for that freestyle rider looking to progress their unhooked riding, their big jumps, or just someone that's looking for a kite that will continually boost their level of performance higher and higher and higher. Now, we did this in a couple different ways. As with most products, it has to do with the shape, the geometry, the bridles, the construction. All of those factor into why this kite flies the way it does. So let's delve into a couple of those things and maybe get to the bottom as to why this kite is so good this year. So the first big thing is the shape of the kite. Now, the Envy traditionally has had a pretty square canopy shape with some swept wingtips to aid in relaunch. But this year we went with an even more squared profile. You can see in the wingtip, there's a lot of squared off feature in this wingtip, giving you a really strong, rigid canopy shape, something that makes the kite turn a lot more in an arcing shape and provides rigidity where previously maybe you felt a little bit of sponginess. This kite is rock solid. So in addition to squaring off the wingtips and kind of changing the geometry of the kite, we've also increased the diameter of the leading edge. Now this diameter increase has allowed us to kind of move the kite a little bit further back in the wind window, providing more stability, as well as increase the rigidity of the kite in the sky. So the kite feels rock solid, whether it's hooked in or unhooked. It just really has that solid feel on the bar, and it's kind of made the turns more arcing, providing more smooth power through the turn of the kite. So, you know, in the bottom of the sine wave, when you're really looking for that power, or in a really big kite loop, also known as like a mega loop, this kite provides a ton of power and in a more arcing style turn, which just kind of gives you a more predictable style of turn in the kite. So larger leading edge, more squared off wingtip really gave us that deep canopy profile and gave us that kite that really performs on an unhooked and hooked in level. Additionally, we've changed the profile of the kite. So the profile is the curve from the leading edge to the trailing edge, kind of the bubble in the canopy. And really, really important in making the kite fly the way it flies is how that works in the geometry of the kite. So we've actually reduced the amount of profile in the wingtip and kind of changed the profile here in the center in the canopy, and that just allowed the kite to turn with a lot more power through its turn. Less pivotal, a lot more progressive, smooth power in the turn, and that just makes it more reliable and predictable and allows you to just kind of build your trick foundation and your riding foundation off of something with consistent smooth power, whether that's turning or jumping or boosting. All of that kind of factors back in with the profile of the kite. Another big thing that makes a kite fly the way it does is the bridle. The way the bridle works changes how the kite pivots. It changes how much power you can dump in the kite, and really changes how the kite flies in the sky. So we went with a really low hassle, minimalist style bridle. It's just a cascading bridle with a tight Y attachment here on the attachment point down here by the wingtip. This gives us a really good connection between the bridle and the turning point of the kite, which is here at the wingtip. You'll notice that these bridles are made of flying line. Flying line bridles reduce drag and take weight away from the kite. So you get something that's more efficient and lighter in the sky. That just makes a kite that works better given its wind speed, and just makes a kite that performs better. Simple bridles are always better. Nothing to break, nothing to stretch or damage. You also notice a big thing about these bridles is they don't actually reach the wingtip. So they can't actually physically wrap around the wingtip, giving you a bridle that's hassle-free, something that's not gonna get caught if you invert your kite trying your hardest trick or something like that. Here on the back, we still go with our single connection point, direct connect. It makes for the kite that is more responsive and really gives the kite a good feel in the end. You can see we have 3 adjustment points here, so you can kind of tailor it to your needs for less bar pressure or more bar pressure. I personally like to fly it right here in the middle. I think that's the best balance of both. So that's kind of the shape and geometry changes to the Envy that has made it so good. Another big thing that we deal with is the construction. So construction is really important. It makes a kite fly well. It separates a good kite from a great kite. And our dedication to building kites that are really reliable, strong, and have a lot of life, you know, we try to choose the best material as possible. So when we came time to choose the canopy material, we went with what's slowly becoming the industry standard, which is the Tasian D3. And that's a triple ripstop canopy. Not only is it the highest strength to weight ratio canopy on the market, it also comes with the best UV resistant and corrosive lamination on it, which means the canopy itself is gonna last a really long time without chalking or having a lot of problems that you see in some other canopies. It's not gonna turn to tissue paper, it's gonna stay nice and crisp, and it's gonna reduce the amount of tears that it's gonna take. It's really strong to punctures and really UV resistant. So that canopy is gonna last a really long time. In addition to our canopy material choice, we also use the highest quality Dacron that we can get on the market. And this is just a really nice, strong Dacron. And you can see we've actually reduced our application of Dacron as little as possible. There's almost none down here in the wingtip, mostly just the leading edge and here in our tension trailing edge. So this again has allowed us to make a kite that's a lot lighter in the sky and gives us something that is really dynamic and handles the abuse you can throw at it. Now, the tension trailing edge, as I was just talking about, is a feature that we've gone back and forth on with our kites, but I think it's a really great addition. It distributes the tension and the load of the canopy in between the leading edge and the trailing edge, giving you a tighter, crisper canopy feel, as well as it increases the laminar airflow, which means how the air comes back together after it leaves the canopy. The smoother it can come back together, the smoother and more efficient the kite is. So this helps a lot with the efficiency, as well as durability. So when the kites are sitting here on the ground or they're in the air, there is a tendency to have a leading edge flutter or trailing edge flutter. And that trailing edge flutter can degrade the quality of your canopy material. So by adding this Dacron here at various levels, meaning we have a seam here, a seam down low, and a seam in the middle, it's not a straight line, that helps break up that line of flapping and hopefully will increase the life of your kite and provide a little bit more quality in terms of your construction. As always, our kite is built bomb-proof. We glue and tape all of our seams. They're stitched extremely strong. We have what we like to call layered frame construction. So anywhere that there's a difference between the soft canopy material and the more rigid Dacron, we have a layer of Marcloth. And that just helps the transition between the two very different materials and increases the life of your kite. You can see that here. We have a layered frame here in the patch. We have it running all along the leading edge, back here behind the strut. It just really helps increase the life of the kite. Additionally, we've changed our scuff guards. We used to have an EVA scuff guard. Now we've gone to more of this kind of grip tape style scuff guard, and that's gonna keep your kite from wearing out when you're dragging it across your sandy beach or something like that. The next big quality issue is our leading edge seam. Not only is it glued and taped, it's also triple stitched and kind of piped with this little bit of piping. It's a really strong leading edge closure. And that just means that when you crash your kite, you're not gonna be worrying about splitting your leading edge open and ending your session with an explosive bladder issue. And that's just something we've had on our kites for a while, but it definitely draws, it needs some attention. Additionally, where our bridles are attached to our leading edge, we have a really reinforced webbing attachment point, and that doesn't stretch at all, and it also is really strong, so you're not gonna be ripping these points off, because this is where the load of the airframe is pulled through the canopy, so we want those to be really strong. As always, our kites come with our one plump inflation system called Maxflow. Maxflow is a large diameter inflation and deflation valve, and it allows you to pump your kite up easier with less effort and deflate your kite with less effort. So I think that's really important. The less effort you have to spend getting on and off the water and putting your gear away is energy you can spend on the water. So why waste it pumping when you can use it to do another back roll? This Maxflow obviously is a one pump system, meaning you can pump from one single point of inflation. The struts are connected to the leading edge here with this hose, and it does have clamps so you can isolate your hoses if you're worried about deflating your kite or you need to find a puncture in one of your bladder materials. Additionally, a really big construction thing is what's inside of these Dacron panels, and that is the bladders. The bladders themselves are the heaviest thing on the kite. They weigh more than the whole kite put together. If you were to take them out and put them on a scale, they would weigh more than this whole kite. So it's really important that you use a material that's not only strong and is gonna be is gonna help reduce the amount of holes you're gonna have or the leaks you have in your bladders, but also something that's really lightweight. So we went with a 0.08 TPU bladder. It's really strong, and it's 0.02 mm thinner than our bladders previously. So for the layman, what that means is we've lost a lot of weight. Essentially, for a 12 meter, that's almost a pound in weight we've lost, which makes the kite lighter, zippier in the sky, and it just makes it work better if it's lighter in the sky. So we're really happy to have that on our kites. There's also some other small features that you might not notice. We have a pump leash attachment point that's really easy to attach to the hook. On the rear back here, we have our anti-catch bridle guard. So these stop the bridle from wrapping around the wingtip. Now the bridle itself is short enough that it's not going to even get to the wingtip, but if it does happen to get into here, you can see we have them on all three of the struts as well as the wingtips. It's going to help reduce the chance that your bridles are going to catch. We also included this fancy little bridle holding system where you can kind of put your bridle up through here and keep it out of the way, so when you pack and store your kite, your bridles are out of the way, and it makes rigging a lot easier. That's kind of the Envy in a nutshell. I mean, it really is a kite that is designed for the freestyle purist in mind, someone who's looking for a kite that they can use across all platforms. You know, one kite to travel with, not in size, but one model of kite. So you can hydrofoil, you can kite surf, you can snow kite, you can ride it in the park. It really is something that you can use day in and day out and you can count on. So for those of you that are looking for a kite that can really cross a lot of platforms, or maybe you're looking for a kite that you can teach your friends on in a school setting and then go out and shred on later, this Envy really delivers in both of those capacities. So for me, it's the best Envy we've ever made, hands down. It's taken me to the top of podiums this year. It's helped me progress my level of riding. It's given me something that I'm really confident in and something I don't need to worry about when I'm on the water. It's just there. It provides tons of smooth, predictable power, and it really is by far the best Envy we've ever designed. So I highly encourage you to get out there and give this thing a try. It is a blast. You will not regret it.